Hello, this is Frank with Analytics AIML. I'm joined today by Harvey Brown and Umar Qureshi. How are you doing today, Harvey?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Hey, doing great. Thank you. Umar, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
Well, excellent. Thanks both of you for joining in this discussion today. We're going to talk about Lean Six Sigma, but the application of it in the era of machine learning and artificial intelligence. We know there are things happening as it relates to cognitive chatbots and robotic process automation, all those types of things. So if we think about Lean Six Sigma and its foundation, the fundamentals never change, right? It's been applied prior to World War II, during World War II, after World War II, used as part of the Lean startup in Silicon Valley more recently, used as part of Agile and Scrum to help out information technology initiatives rather than taking the normal waterfall, slow approach to doing things, fail fast using these principles. So with that in mind, let's jump right into this. The exact problem we're going to look at today, Umar, is going to be related to what? What's going to be our problem definition, an example story we can use that we can walk the group through.
Okay, so if we follow the make process, the first step is the define, and in this process, we clearly define our problem, and we have a template or a line for it that we usually say is the process of is leading to which results in.
Excellent. So what do you mean by that? So we're trying to define a problem, but we're following this kind of this guidance in terms of using this phrase. I know when they use things around storyboarding and so forth, and user stories as it's related to Scrum and Agile processes, they do a similar type of thing. So yeah, explain more to us. How do you apply this?
Okay, in today's world, for the marketing, we can apply it for our business as the process of generating new leads is leading to extra work or hard work and efforts, which results in lost sales, or low sales. So we can say it as the process of generating new leads is leading to extra efforts and costs, which results in lost sales.
Okay, I think that's a pretty common thing. I think pretty much every business out there, given all the changes that have taken place with mobile and social. I mean, there's so many different channels you got to reach people at. Some people want to use Amazon payments. Some people want to use PayPal, some Stripe, right? You got WordPress things. You got this Square, Wix. You got Magento. All these different platforms. Then people come in all these different channels, whether it's through Facebook or Instagram, or you have to find them on Yahoo or Bing or AdWords or whatever. So I get it in terms of the challenges that a lot of these customers are facing. They're trying to generate these leads, the complexity of trying to do all this stuff and keep up with it. I don't know how any small or mid-sized business can afford to even do that in terms of keeping up with good leads that are necessary for growing their business. So I get you. Okay, so we're trying to generate leads. So what exactly happened in the case that you guys encountered?
Well, what we have noticed is that recently, especially in the past year, there's been a huge change in, specifically the way Google has its AdWords set up. So now a lot of businesses, they find that they are spending more and more on AdWords, but yet they're getting less conversions, which spells into less revenue, which results in less visits to their websites, or less visits to their pages, their business pages. And so this is very, very bad news. So a lot of the small and medium-sized businesses have been, if you will, squeezed out by those businesses that have way larger advertising costs and way larger advertising budgets. So, this has definitely been a huge concern for a lot of businesses. So a lot of businesses are asking, what are we going to do about this changing market?
No, great point. So let's look at this, yeah, very specifically. So you guys are, we're in this custom flash drive business, custom bulk USBs, buys industrial and promotional and mobile phone flash drives. So how do you get customers through this website so they can make a phone call and or perhaps send an email request or respond to your chat or fill out the form so you can get a conversion and ultimately get a purchase of these customized promotional products and mobile device memory products. So one of the things, as you guys were explaining, both you, Harvey, and Umer, is that Google has changed the layout, right? So the reason why Google has changed this layout, as I think probably many of you are aware, is that people are now on mobile. So this whole website for mobile, before you could have all this space on either side for desktop and everything, because most people are on desktop. But now, since if people are on mobile, what happens is they're trying to use this space in more this type of a narrow fashion, and that's really kind of cut out a lot of businesses. And so, to your point, you got like 5 ads at the top, you got 5 ads at the bottom. Before, you would have more room for advertising over here because people are on large computer screens. Now they're on mobile, so Google had to change this around, this layout, but that has a direct impact on a lot of small and medium-sized businesses. And if they can't afford to pay those extremely high prices continuously for the high bidding, then of course they're not going to get the sales leads. Okay, so I think we got that part of it. So that is part of the challenge in terms of generating these leads at an affordable cost for most small and medium-sized businesses. Talk us through then what are some of the other changes that would have led to more work, lower conversion rates that ultimately leads to lower sales? Umer?
Okay, yeah, I'm on it. So more work, like nowadays, if you go in the search engine, you'll find that the traffic is not only for the search engines. You don't get every traffic from the search engines. There is social media, there is YouTube,
Right.
and there are so many platforms out there that your user is distributed among all these platforms. If you want to target professional firms, you'll go for the LinkedIn. If you want to target youth out there, you'll go for the Facebook and Twitter. So the users and your audience / clients, they are distributed on all these platforms. So more work, extra efforts are needed, because previously we have been always doing the search engine optimization, and now we know that Google is putting ads in the top and bottom, along with Bing and other search engines that are out there, and we see a reduced traffic from these search engines just because of the ads itself, and also the audience is moving to other platforms. So we are doing now Facebook campaigns, LinkedIn marketing, and following up audiences on all these platforms. So it's more work.
Right, exactly.
And
Excellent point. So one of the analogies we often use is what happened at the dawn of the cable industry. Here in the United States, for example, there used to be just kind of 3 major stations: ABC, CBS, and NBC, and everybody was watching TV only on those stations. And then the cable industry came along in the 80s, and now we've literally got hundreds and thousands of television stations. So the audience is now split apart, right? So before, you could go to one of these 3 different channels, and you're going to get most of the U.S. Household market. You're going to be able to reach them. But now their attention is divided amongst hundreds of different cable television stations, and it's even gotten worse, right? Some of them are on Lulu, some of them are on Hulu, some of them are on Facebook, some of them are on Netflix, some of them are on different internet websites and YouTube video channels. They watch their TV that way, right? So just a lot of big changes in terms of the divided attention of the American consumer. And for small and medium-sized business, it's even worse. You're not just competing with all these media outlets, but you're also competing with thousands of websites that people can go to, and social media, and LinkedIn profile areas that they can read and get information on different publications to find content that ultimately relates back to what they might be seeking to purchase from you. So yeah, I think I get your point here, Umar. Great.
Yeah, and just to add that, there are mobile apps now, so audiences
Right.
really interested in these.
Yeah, exactly. These locked off garden communities of mobile apps that don't even interact with the open internet. So okay, great point. So we get all of that. So that's how you define your problem. But let's kind of make sure we break this down for folks so they really understand. So the reason we say the process of, because we don't want people to focus on a quick solution and a knee-jerk reaction. We want to think from the perspective of what is happening. The process means you have to follow logical steps in terms of things that are happening with the customer journey. Whether it's coming through a mobile app, or coming through a Google search, or coming through social media. How do they ultimately land where you want them to land? How do you think through the thought sequence of guiding them through your website in a way that they will convert at a higher rate with less friction? All of those things follow a process. So that's why we always say the process of. And then we say is leading to. The leading to are kind of the pain points and things. And these pain points are not the root cause. These root causes we're going to analyze in the A phase, in the analyze phase over here in just a moment. But they're the sources of the likely root causes. If you chase just low conversions and more work, you're not going to get to the root cause, and it's not going to work. On the other hand, if you know that these are your pain points, you're ultimately going to get to the source of those through root cause analysis, then this is very effective, because whatever it is that the root cause is creating is ultimately going to impact your why, as we call it. Why meaning the final thing or final key metrics. It could be lost sales, it could be higher advertising costs. Those final financial or customer or strategic metrics that are vital to the success of your organization. So the results in really is the why. These are the X's, right? X's, we always talk about a process is a function of the X's that impact your why, right? So that's why we follow it in this order. And what that enables us to do is really to break down any problem in kind of a scientific method. And then we can bring in really new and innovative ideas that deal with artificial intelligence and machine learning and robotics, process automation, perhaps chatbots, whatever else it might be, big data analytics, in a way that can help us solve those problems. That'll take place in the improvement phase, which, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Any other comments on any of that, Harvey or Umar, before we move to the measurement phase?
No.
I think we're good with that.
So we've done our define phase. So now what happens in measurement? Harvey, what do we do in the measurement phase?
In measurement, after we have worked on the define problem, we have to measure how intense or how problematic the issue is. And so in the measure phase, we look for, we know that, for example, a lot of businesses' sales have been affected. So we can measure what affects those sales. We measure the X's. So for instance, we measure, maybe search engine results or search engine.
So talk me through the process so we can follow the flow of those metrics then, to your point.
Okay, so we, like I said, in measuring, we look at the criteria. So we can, for example, measure the revenue, the dollars. We can measure, like I said, how much people spend on their AdWords budget. We can measure how much people spend on advertising on all the different social media platforms. For instance, the LinkedIn's, the Facebooks, and all the other different methods of advertising, even if some people still will advertise even using newspaper or other methods.
Right, exactly. So so what Harvey is saying here is what we're thinking about is the process, right? We're kind of in this particular case, we're trying to generate leads that come into our website so we can convert them. And that means you got to pay something up front to get their eyeballs, right? So as we're looking at here, these customers are paying for these ads. So their ad costs. They may be paying for ads on Facebook. They may be paying for ads on Bing. Perhaps they're paying for those ads on LinkedIn. Or they may be just using social media as a way of driving traffic into their website. So in this particular case, we'll keep it simple, and let's say they're using ad costs. So this means in order to look at the key metrics that are driven by this ad cost, the first thing that happens is we're getting, a count of certain number of impressions, right? And those impressions, we get some sort of click-through rate. And that click-through rate, there's associated with that is what's known as a cost per click, right? And those cost per clicks hopefully ultimately lead to, a website visit, right? And then that website visit, we're hoping in the case that we're looking at there, turns into a web lead conversion, right? There's a web form lead. So we're now tracking those number of web lead conversions that are taking place. Or if it's directly into an e-commerce conversion site where you're doing the purchase right there, then it may be a sales conversion that takes place as part of e-commerce on your site. But as you can see, the process is defining the flow of the metrics, and each of these has an impact ultimately on, your cost and your return on investment for that cost. Ultimately, you want to get this conversion from a web form, to turn into a purchase, right? A buy, so a sale, right? So now you're looking at that. And as you move through that flow of converting a generated lead into a sale or potentially a lost sale, right? You may notice some other things like, Harvey and Uma were saying, the extra work you're doing. Well, what is all the extra work? Well, the extra work may be, the new web design that you have to put in place to deal with mobile customers now, right? It may mean that you have to buy another platform like a WordPress platform and some plugins to make all this stuff work correctly, so there's an easy flow. And the reason for that is because what you're trying to drive is higher engagement, right? You don't want the customers to leave. You don't want them to bounce off your website. You're trying to drive engagement so that if this engagement takes place, this website visit becomes someone who's going to stay longer, and you get a higher conversion rate of these web form leads and these purchases, right? So it gets inserted in here, but there's costs associated with making this engagement work, right? So, so that's what we mean by making sure we follow the process, because if you follow the process, then you can follow the metrics. And if you follow the metrics, then you know which metric comes before the other. That metric creates the other metric, right? You can see a knock-on effect of one metric on the other. And so when you go to work on trying to get, lost sales being your purchases or your buys, you're not focusing on the sale itself. You're working on something upstream, a metric that's going to most likely have a knock-on effect that's going to increase the number of purchases or your number of sales, or improve your web lead conversion rate so that your sales increases, right? Great point in terms of outlining this kind of flow of the AdWords until the point that you get a final purchase. Any other comments you guys want to add to any of that?
So this brings up a very critical point that in this step, you have to map out your process. You have to map out a certain flow in order to be able to know what criteria you're measuring. Because like I said, a good way to think about this is that it's been, I'll paraphrase, one part of your process should create the finished product of one step should be your raw material for your next step of your process. So this is going to help you be able to map it so that you can make sure that for each step, you can look at for any bottlenecks and flaws. And this is like what's going to come up in the next couple steps. But this is a similar approach that, even people like Henry Ford used to streamline a process to be able to compete with, all the different automobile makers and be able to produce things more efficiently. So.
Excellent. Right. Yeah, great point. And so this process, as Harvey alluded to, it happens it happens as part of this define and measurement phase, right? Because we said the process of is leading to this, and we flowed this through. But this is your user journey, right? This is how people come and find your website or your mobile app and they move through it and they either convert or they don't, or they bounce, right? And so this is really critical. This user journey, or this process mapping, this flow of activities, is super critical because then it helps you understand which metrics impact whatever other metrics. And it's going to be important in this analyze phase, as Harvey just kind of alluded to as well when we look at root cause analysis. Okay, I think we had a pretty good discussion on measurement phase, really, really good. So now let's suppose we've moved beyond the measurement phase. We know our baseline metrics. We know perhaps maybe it's costing us $100 per day to generate 20 leads, of which 20% convert, and we get an average order size of $720 per customer for the customized flash drives. So now we've got some baseline numbers. That's important because if in fact we make any improvements, we want to know, did the improvement impact my baseline metrics, right? Otherwise, you're not going to know what worked and what didn't work. And you're just going to be chasing your tail, so to speak. Okay, so now we get into the analysis phase. So we looked at these metrics, we defined our process. The analysis phase, this is where we're trying to look at this area where we said it's leading to, right? In analysis, we don't want to look at the sales. By the time you hit lost sales, it's too late. You really need to work upstream of the sales and identify the source, right? The root cause. What's driving the lost sales? So we talked about this a little bit before. What are some of the things that are driving the reasons why we've got these pain points of more work, lower conversions, all these types of things? What are the root cause points that we want to capture here?
Yes, exactly.
So
You're right that
yeah.
analyze phase. Yeah.
Google changes to the algorithm, the layout design of the Google homepage and ads that had an impact. What else?
Yeah, the mobile users, increasing mobile users.
Yeah, what are you guys seeing with the website in terms of mobile user? How has that changed over, say, the last 2, 3, 4 years?
Yeah, almost 48 to 50% and up to 52% users are on mobile.
Exactly.
And we have seen that in Google Analytics.
So what have you guys seen in terms of conversion rates or let's say average engagement time for a person on your website that came onto it, say, 3 years ago on a desktop versus people who are hitting your website today through mobile?
It's dropped significantly. Like I said, a lot of people, they have a short attention span. There's a lot more going on. So a person might spend, like I said, 3 to 4 minutes on your website tops. Especially on your mobile phone, they're just not going to spend as much time on a mobile phone as they will a desktop.
Right. Exactly. What else?
Yes, exactly. And due to that.
Go ahead, Umar. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm saying that due to that short time span, you had to be really careful with your design. You need to show them the really powerful thing that they want to see, else they will bounce off straight away. So we have to create a different version of the website for mobile users and different for the desktop users.
No, that's a very good point. Let's talk about that in terms of what you guys did there too, right? Because this is such a big and important thing. The way the mind, I studied art, and so one of the things that I'll never forget Mr. Bottomiller from high school. He forced us to think about how does an eye flow across a piece of paper or a piece of artwork or anything that you look at, coming into a building, approaching a building, looking out at a sky, the skyline. He forced us to understand what's known as eye flow. And so when you look at a website and its landscape is horizontal, your eye flow, it works very differently than when we move to a world where now people are looking at that website through a narrow interface called a mobile phone, right? And so your site has to function completely different. And the whole thought sequence and flow has to be thought through completely different when you think of a customer that's on a mobile phone trying to make a decision very quickly with lots of interruptions and, right? They may be walking down the street, there may be sun glare, there may be just interruptions, someone else pings them on their cell phone. So now they lose attention and they bounce off your website, or they forget where they were and they, leave later. All those things have to now be taken into consideration. One of the things that we did is we put the phone number in a different place with the email, with an email address. And what happens is someone will take their thumb literally and just run it across the top, and they'll make a phone call right into us and never bother filling out the free quote form or anything else. So we get contacts that way. We get people who want to just do a search. They'll click on the search and they'll search for, say a 2 gigabyte flash drive, so they can quickly find what they're looking for because they don't want to spend a lot of time searching through the website. So now they can see it. Here's our logo. Here's a 2 gigabyte flash drive, right? So we have to really start thinking differently about the whole website design and the experience for someone who's coming to it on a desktop computer versus a mobile phone or another smart device such as a tablet, an iPad. They would be even different, right?
Right.
Okay, so the flow of the site's going to change, a shorter attention span because of mobile. You got a lot more different size devices. You got probably 5 or 6 or 8 different sizes of a mobile phone. You got, I don't know how many different, endless number of different types of iPads and Android tablet devices. You got your normal desktop. You got people who are on a regular laptop. You got people who are on a large screen that's sitting on a wall in the living room, right? It may be, who knows, damn near 3 feet 3 feet long. I mean, people are looking at all sorts of screens these days. It's just a different world than where we lived before. So everything's just so much more complex. Okay, so all those things had an impact. So we analyze those root causes, and with an understanding of some of those root causes, then we say, well, given those root causes of the problem, what types of improvements can we put in place over here to address that? So what did you guys do differently as specific improvements?
Okay. So talking about specific improvements for these, so we have to move from a search engine to social media. Now we have created social media pages and are working more on the social media.
Okay.
Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Okay. As part of the mobile users, we have designed our website differently, like you were explaining. If you can pull up the website, I can explain that part specifically, that we have entered the quote form 2 times for mobile users because there was no option for us in the mobile phone version that we could show the quote form.
So yeah,
If we
explain
have to
that more.
leave the
That's a great point. So when we look at this in a person on, say, a tablet, PC, or desktop, they can see the quote form right across the top, right? They can see column 1, column 2, the promotional flash drives, the mobile flash drives, the industrial, and then they can see the quote form. So you're saying if they're on a mobile phone, they don't see the same thing. So they're seeing something that looks more like this. So tell us more what you did with the web form.
Okay, so if we have to leave the same pattern, then the user had to scroll down till the end of the website, and then the web form would have appeared. So what we did is we removed it for the tablets and mobile phones and brought it up in between the contents once or twice. So as you scroll down, you will see a quick short web form compared to what it was for the desktop users. So as you scroll down more, and once a user is ready to make a decision, so another code form will appear. And this code form is really short, so we are not asking too much information for the mobile users.
Great point. I like that. Excellent. No, that's a really an excellent point, because it's thinking through the thought sequence and flow of a mobile user as opposed to a desktop user, and providing this quote form twice through the flow as they come to different points where they are likely to make a decision that they want to make a purchase or get more information. Otherwise, the way this form works, it would not show up until they got all the way to the very bottom of the page. And by then they may bounce off the page because they didn't have the opportunity and they didn't bother scrolling to the bottom to see that web form. Excellent point. Okay, anything else? So redesign, what other improvements?
I would say another one is you have to make, I mean, this can't be emphasized enough. you have to make great content. More specifically, you have to make great video content. Because like I said, along with the increased mobile phone usage, you have a lot of people that are actually viewing video more. They want to get that information faster. They want to have information get straight to the point. So there's a lot more mobile content, especially like I said, with YouTube's new feature, YouTube Red. It's made it easier for people to listen to your YouTube videos while they're doing something else. They can have another app on the phone. They could be actually browsing the internet and still listen to your audio and video content. So it's very, very important to have mobile content. I'm also going to emphasize another point in which any videos that are put on your web pages, you have to make sure that they show up very, very clearly while someone's on their mobile browser. So making sure your video is positioned correctly on your mobile version of your web page shows the video correctly is also very, very pertinent.
Great point. Anything else?
Yeah. I would like to add a few more things up in here that, okay, so a user is more worried about now the quality, along with that they are not being cheated. So to cover that up, we verified our address. And also, if you visit our website, we are using an HTTPS protocol as recommended by Google if a user wants to pay us online. And along with that, we showed different security signs or tags up in there on the side. So yeah, you can see our HTTPS protocol, and the browser at the top says this website is secure to provide your information. And if you go in the Google and type custom bulk USB, you will see our reviews and an authentic company. Yeah, and we have got some reviews from our clients. So I think you may want to add custom bulk USB Florida. Yeah, you can see our reviews in the Google, and that really helps us get big clients.
Excellent. Yeah, great points. So yeah, the risk, the fear out there is a lot of security issues and scams and things that people, increases this kind of fear. And how do you make people feel comfortable? How do you lower their anxiety level, right? That's really important. How do you build trust, right? A lot of what we're trying to do is build trust. So people don't do business with people they don't trust, with other organizations they don't trust. Anything else?
One additional thing that I would like to add on is we had to show our faces that who we are. So we added a banner on the homepage along with a testimonial from the client showing our real faces, so people know who they are dealing with. Sorry to interrupt you, Harvey. You can go ahead now.
Oh no, it's good. So like a very, very good point. Like I said, people do not end up doing business with other people. With other businesses, they end up doing business with people. So like I said, being able to build trust, be able to build credibility behind your personal brand, being able to have people know exactly who you are and not just knowing that you're just thinking that you're just some type of machine or some type of person that never ever gets out is very, very important. People want to know that you are people. So that's also very, very important. Also, another thing to emphasize, another thing to add into the improvement part is that there are many tools out there that can be used to help you improve your brand and also help your business improve. One of those tools that we've used is Power BI, and it's able to look at all the different type of data sources for all where your consumers are going to, your consumers' interests, and it's able to. I mentioned Power BI because that specific program is able to look at a lot of different sources, a lot of different places, and it's able to help you make sure that you're making the digital transformation that's important for your business. Like I said, a lot of business is done on the internet, but with that information on the internet, you need to be able to sort through all of, the information that's out there to be able to find the diamonds that are going to help you in your business to be able to succeed.
Yeah, this is really, really a critical. This I think is one of the most critical things. What Harvey is hitting on here, and I think it's worth underscoring that. Remember all those things that we mentioned, right? So maybe people are finding you through LinkedIn. Maybe it's Pinterest. Maybe it's Facebook. Maybe they're finding you through a Yahoo search or through Google, right? And countless more, right? Snapchat and WhatsApp and who knows what all the other ways that people may encounter you, right? And then imagine what happens after that. Then they're coming to a website and or an app, right? And maybe a phone call and a chat session. And an email. And maybe some partner referral website. And then they're coming probably, if you're doing it right, ultimately into your CRM system, your customer relationship management system. Probably from there, they're coming into any other order management systems that you have. And in some cases, they're coming into a full ERP system, enterprise resource planning system. Right? They're ultimately being looked at with BI tools or analytics types of tools and reports, spreadsheets. Right? And then you got to get paid, right? So you got PayPal and Stripe and Amazon and all the other different ways that maybe customers, Amazon payments, maybe they prefer to do it that way or come through some other means, but ultimately maybe they come into your QuickBooks where you can look at the data or whatever other financial Braintree or whatever type of system you have. Look at all these systems. One of the reasons why we selected Power BI is because Power BI has APIs for a lot of these systems and connects our data. Otherwise, you don't know, when you look at this customer journey, you don't know which customer went through which journey to get to ultimate payment on QuickBooks in your PayPal system, right? So you don't know which channel they came through, which ways were successful, which ways were not successful. So you don't even know how to improve your business. And you can't possibly manage all of these complexities without having data to see the different flows that customers took to, and then find out which ones are converting the highest so you know where to put your time and attention, right? So, this point that was brought up around using Power BI from Harvey, I think that was really, really important because it gets to this whole idea of what all the organizations are going through right now. That's digital transformation. How do people teach their people to transform to this new digital era? And then how do they help their technology, all their IT departments and systems and everything to talk to each other so they can actually analyze the data so they can make better and quicker decisions, okay? That brings us to the final phase, control phase. Why don't we make a couple of points about the control phase? If you do the other things well, the control phase isn't so difficult, but what are we doing in the control phase? Umar, if you don't mind leading us off.
Okay, in the control phase, we make sure that all these processes go out smoothly and there is no issue or no problem with that. And the other part, monitor.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, checks and make sure you're reaching your goals.
Right.
And if there is certain drop in traffic or your measurements, you analyze and improve it.
Right. Perfect. So that's kind of your feedback loop so it goes all the way back into all the other phases through that customer journey. Like we said, with if you have Power BI or you have some other tools to pull all your data together, then you can see, what are all the different user journeys and where are the metrics that kind of define that journey, and then use that feedback to make ongoing improvements. So this control phase loops right back to your define phase at the very beginning. Did I, make improvements to these process, get better lead generation, higher sales? Can I measure that from my baseline? Now, what's the next thing I should be analyzing? I got good at that. I have improved these areas. Now, what's the next opportunity where I can analyze the next things that we can improve upon, and then put in place those improvements, and then monitor and check and control those things. Okay. Well, listen, this has been a really great discussion, Harvey. Umar, appreciate your time. Any other closing remarks from anyone?
I would have to say that, like I said, this process, even though this methodology has been around for a very, very long time, there's a reason it's a classic. There's a reason that it's still here. It's been able to be adaptable. And like I said, even nowadays, I would emphasize that this loop happens even faster. With the traditional methods, you could literally like sit back, define a problem, and then go through maybe months and years at a time to be able to come to the improvement and control phase. Nowadays, you have to do this a lot faster because, like I said, with the advent of mobile phones, even the increased mobile phone usage, you can be here one moment, relevant one moment, and then completely gone the next. And so, like I said, there are a lot of different trends that happen on the internet, and those trends happen to last a short time. You don't want your business to be a fad. You don't want your business to be a trend. You want to be in business for a long time. So I'm going to mention that the improvement and control phase, it is important to always take feedback, not only to listen to that feedback, but to also always incorporate that feedback. I'm also going to emphasize, like mentioned earlier, fail fast. Learn very quickly what doesn't work so you know what does work, so it doesn't destroy your business process. So otherwise, like I said, I believe this was a very good discussion.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're on, when we talk about internet time, there's a speed up of change is happening so rapidly. No one even remembers Blockbuster Video. Most people don't even remember BlackBerry, right? BlackBerry was the first phone. No one uses a BlackBerry anymore. Final comments, Umar?
Yeah, I would like to add on to Harvey's point that Power BI. So ultimately, if you are using Power BI, you'll have the data analytics. And once you have the data analytics, you clearly understand where the trends are going, and you can better improve your processes and be the industry leading firm. Because you know that during certain parts of the years, your sales will go higher or down, or what will impact what. And like at time we are analyzing this, and based on the data results, we are able to show you this much of a data and talk so much about these things, because we have analyzed all these processes and all these phases through data analytics, that a user has to go through this processes. And as a result of this, we have so much data, and then ultimately we can come up with a really compact solution.
Excellent point. Well, listen, thanks everyone for your time today. We look forward to catching up with you next time. Have a great day. This has been Harvey Brown, Frank Shines, and Umar Qureshi with Analytics AI ML. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right, goodbye.